Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2020. So we have a few days to put up on our calendar to make up for the weekend. So our season is still spring. We're in April and today is the 20th, so we need to go back to Saturday to see what that was. So Saturday was the 18th. Sunday was the 19th. And today is the 20th. So today is Monday. Yesterday was Sunday, and tomorrow is going to be Tuesday. This week, we are doing one of my favorite things. We're going to be learning all about Earth and things that we can do to help preserve it and take care of it. So we're going to be covering Earth Week this week. So one thing that we're going to start talking about is this little symbol right here. Now, most of the time we see these three arrows on like a recycling bin. That's where you put your plastics, your papers, your cardboard, and things like that. We had that in our classroom, and we were putting all our scrap papers in there so that we could recycle it. So that way it can turn into something new, get a new life. Well, these three arrows show three different ways that you can help save the world. And those are reduce, reuse, and recycle. Well, some people thought about it a little bit more and they were like, you know what? I think we can add two more things to that. Now, I don't know how to draw the 5-arrowed symbol here, but I do know what those other two ones are, and they are refuse and rot. So the first thing that you do to help save the world is refuse. So if there is something that you don't need, just say no thank you to it. Like if people are out there passing out flyers and they're like, come check out my store. If you know you're not going to go check it out, just say no thank you. Or like when we go grocery shopping, and I know some of your families probably use their own shopping bags. What they're doing is refusing doing that first step, the plastic bags that they have, and instead are bringing reusable bags. That's also a reuse one. Next, we have reduce. So that's where you can reduce the amount of things that you need. Sometimes we take in a lot of stuff that we don't need to, and so we can reduce it. You can donate things to the thrift store or things like that, and that's one way we can help. We can reuse. So let's say you finished up a paper towel roll and you turn that paper towel roll into a telescope to play with, or something new that you can do with it. That would be reusing. So instead of just throwing it away or getting rid of it, you can turn it into something new. Another thing is rot, which we're going to start talking about soon. I put up a little tutorial on what me and Austin are doing with composting, and I'm going to show that a little bit later in the video. But rot is really meaning composting. Now, I know a couple of you have mentioned that your family does do composting, and composting is a great thing because you take all those food scraps that you get in the kitchen when you're cutting things up for dinner and lunch, and you can compost it and mix it with other materials like paper and cardboard, and they break down and turn into soil for your plants. So it's just like this one big cycle where you have your plant, it grows, turns into that fruit, we get some sort of food from it, we eat that food, throw away the scraps in our compost bin, the compost will break it down, give new soil to a new plant for us to grow and eat again, and it just goes in this nice beautiful cycle. The last thing that you would want to do to help out with the world is recycle. I know recycling is very big, but it's kind of the last choice in all of the things that we want to do, but recycling is a great thing that you can do. It's better to recycle the items than to just send it to the landfill. Like when we watched our video about the dump truck in Scholastic, everything that goes into the trash can ends up being taken to a landfill, and it just kind of piles up, and they just keep on throwing a whole bunch of trash up there, and once it grows too big, they just find a new place of land to put it, and all we do, it doesn't really break down easily. It's not really good for the world or for our earth, and it's better to do one or more of these 5 things: refuse, reduce, reuse, rot, and recycle. Well, for our theme today, we are going to take a look at the world, and we are going to make it beautiful. We're going to do like a cool little collage here. So we're going to be working with our first paper in our packet. We have the Earth right here. So if you think back to our continent songs, we have, you can't really see Asia in here, but here's Africa, North and South America. We can't see Antarctica down here. We have Europe over here, and Australia would be on the other side. So what we're gonna do is any of our continents, you are gonna use green, and on the oceans, you're going to do blue. So right behind this paper in your packet, you have blue and green construction paper. And what you're going to do with that is you're going to rip it up into little tiny pieces. So I'm going to kind of rip this down. And then you're going to have your strips, and you're just going to tear them up into little tiny squares. And you're going to glue those squares onto your earth. And so remember, the green will go on to your land, so those are going to be your continents. You can see Europe, Africa, North and South America on there. And then you're going to use the blue for your 5 oceans. So that's pretty much everything else on there. And cover the whole thing up, do the best that you can. If you need to, you can tear it up into smaller chunks, or you can make bigger chunks. I think either liquid glue or a glue stick can work for this. Either one will do well. And then when you're all finished with it, take a picture, post it into our assignments. Our special for today is going to be art. And I know that Miss Cox is doing something a little bit different. I believe she's going to start working on Google Hangout or Google Meets instead of Zoom. So she should have sent an email to the student's email address. So check there, and not into the parent's email address. So if you haven't gotten anything, check your kid's email address. It is probably on there. It'll be meeting at the same time that we have been meeting, so you will be meeting at 10 o'clock for that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Dr. Nyquist knows a lot about our specials, and she can help handle any issues that might arise, or reach out to Miss Cox herself. But that should be, she wants to kind of just keep everything in that Google platform, and so it should be pretty easy and simple to get to. You can find Google Meet. If you go to the top of the Google account, you'll see a grid of like a 3x3 dots, and you click on that, and you might scroll down a little bit and you'll find Google Meet. For math, we are going to continue working on those videos and the workbook. I am still posting more decks on Boom Learning, so don't forget to check that out. That'll help you with review, reinforcement, and if you are looking for more of a challenge, I'm working on getting more challenging things on there as well. So go ahead and check those out. Language arts, we are going to be reading a new book. It's called All Kinds of Families, and we're going to be working on page 30 of our reading companion books. We will also continue working with our pronouns. This week we are going to be learning about our objective pronouns. So last week we learned about subjective pronouns. That was she, he, they. This week we're learning about our objective pronouns. So we're going to find those at the end of our sentence. That's going to be him, her, and them. So take a look at those slides. Go ahead and fill in the blanks and things like that on there. And I will be meeting you all at 1 o'clock for that meeting. I'm going to go ahead and put in my composting video here in just a second. So let's go check that out. So for our Earth Day little experiment for everybody, we are going to make some compost. So far in my bag here, I have some eggshells, some onions, coffee grounds, lots of like all my food scraps I kind of put up in here. And now we are ripping up some of the egg carton into tiny little itty bitty pieces to put in here also. When you make compost, you need to mix it with some green material and some brown material. So Austin is over here helping get that all ripped up for us. And we want about 60 to 70% of our brown material, which is like paper, cardboard, these egg cartons, things like that. And about 40% of our green material, which is all of my food scraps. And what this is going to do is turn into soil at some point. So I will show you what we're doing next as we get there. Alright, so now that we have a lot of our brown and our green material in there, so I've got my eggshells, my coffee grounds, avocado, a whole bunch of ripped up egg carton, some peppers, a whole bunch of just like kitchen scraps in general. We are going to add a little bit of water into it. Go ahead and pour the water in, Austin. There. All right, now zip up the bag and we are gonna get it all mixed up. We gotta mix everything together because they are gonna work together.
Shake it?
Yeah, go ahead. They are gonna work together to break down and make our soil. Go shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake the compost. Shake the compost. All right, very nice. We might add, yeah, I think we might add a little bit more water to it just because we have a whole lot in that bag. This is the final setup for my compost. So I have a little straw up at the top and I taped that in so it doesn't fall in. I have a paper straw, so if it does fall in, it would end up being part of the compost as well. I have all my compost right down here, and I also labeled it and wrote down the date. That way I know when I did this. And I went ahead and placed it by my window so that it can get some of that sunlight so that it can continue to decompose and turn into that soil. Now every day I'm going to mix everything up and kind of give it like a good old turn, and that's going to help turn that into the soil. It needs to constantly be rotating and moving. We'll keep you guys posted on this every once in a while to see how it's rotting, how it's turning out, and when it becomes soil. Alright, so I will try and keep you guys a little bit posted on what's going on with my composting thing. It's not quite like the butterflies where you want to look at a bag of rotting food all the time, so I'm not going to put up a video of that all the time, but I will keep you posted on how it is breaking down and turning into that soil as it continues to happen. You notice I mixed some of my kitchen scraps, so I had some banana, eggshells, coffee grounds, I think I had some peppers put in there, and then I had a cardboard egg carton, and we ripped that up into tiny little pieces, threw that in there as well. So it's very important when you compost that you mix some of that brown and that green material, and they're going to work together. You've got your nitrogen based and your carbon based, and they're going to help break things down and turn into that soil. And when it turns into a soil, it is so good for your plants. It gives your plants so many nutrients and like the best of the best kind of food for your plants. So I'll keep you posted on how that's going. Besides that, I will see you all at 1. Bye guys.